Welcome to the Back in Charge brief, where Kerrie and I look at the health, energy, and behaviours affecting people, leadership, and performance with inside organisations. And today we are discussing the topic on why culture change is so difficult to make stick. Now, we're all going to be familiar with this. People come, yes, we're going to be doing this going forwards. We're going to approach it in this way. We're going to have this big change. But then what we find is that nothing actually changes. We all have these big promises, these big hopes about what it's going to look like going forwards. But then when we actually get into it, it's the same old, same old. Now, this topic actually came from an HR director. He messaged me yesterday and he said that this is the biggest challenge that he finds that, people are struggling with when it comes, to the workplace and organizations. So why is it? Right? Why do people, why do organizations, why do teams struggle to make effective change and make it stick? But before we get on to that, I want us to actually look at it. Well, it's not the organization's fault. It's not the team's fault. It's not HR's fault of having this big vision and all of that. We actually have to look at the individuals within the team, inside the organization. And we can actually refer it back to, we could look at something completely different, right? And we could actually look at New Year's resolutions, right? Something that we could all relate to, right, Kels? And I just want us to be, take a moment. I want us to get aware of people that we know that make these big, grand things, new year, new me. I'm going to do keto. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to get fitter. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do it all at once. They make all of these changes. And then 2-3 weeks later, down the line, they've given up. Things have gone bad. Things have become stressful. And they have fallen back to what they used to do. They've fallen back to their old behaviours and habits. And the same happens within the workforces when we're looking at culture change. We can't make big changes all at once. It's not going to work. This is why we, so few organizations actually get that culture change. And the majority of them don't actually manage to do it because they try to change too much too soon. So when things get stressful, when things get piled, the workload gets increased, people forget about that new change and they just revert back to their old behaviors and habits of how they used to deal with it. Agree, Kels, with that? What's your view? I know I just had a little rant there, but what's your views upon that?
Totally had a little monologue there.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yep. I think, first of all, it's like you say, New Year's resolutions. We're all positive. We're all motivated. We have these goals, these ambitions, these dreams. And we're very excited and passionate about it. And that's all well and good. But then we decide the way to achieve it is by changing everything and, pulling the rug completely.
Right.
However, I get it. I get the excitement. I get the ambition. I get the drive. But we all know that relying on motivation alone isn't enough. And the problem is it becomes too heavy when we try to do everything, change everything. And you have to be able to be like, know what you want to change, know, why you're doing it, but understand that doing everything at once is just not possible and it's just overwhelming, which is why 9 times out of 10 people drop the ball and just go back to what they've always known, even though it's not where they want to be. It's like, it's like now, you meet people just here. Take it for instance, meeting people in the swimming pool here right now. and they're like, oh, I haven't been eating any sugar, I haven't been eating any carbs, any sugar, just to come over here. But then as soon as they're here and they're going out to restaurants and they're being introduced to the nice foods and everyone puts nice bread, they're like, oh, this is happening. I've had the bread, I've had the crepes, all this stuff. And it's because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. And it's the same within the teams. Start small.
Start small. Get some wins.
Ground one change within the team.
Yeah. But then the same thing, but this is the behavior, isn't it? It's that cycle. You know, like they come up with this great big culture change, right? We want to change this culture. We want to approach things like this way. We want to do this going forwards. So they have this big vision and they start to implement it, and then it doesn't work. So then they think, oh, well, then maybe we got to come up with a bigger, you know, a bigger one, a bigger challenge and all of that. And it's like, oh. And it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like, stop looking for the big change.
The big change comes from all the little levers.
Exactly, right? Yeah, it comes from the little levers. It comes from the little changes. And the thing is that when you go for the big changes, you're not going to get the big changes. Like over long term, you're not going to get the big change. You're not going to get that big, you know, big result from making those big changes. However, if there's like, I don't know, 30, 40, you know, less than 100 people in the organization, but they only make one or two changes. Well, think about it. If everyone was committed to those one or two changes in the culture, then what would that look like in a year's time if they were able to stick with it? What would they be able to do if like they were just able to communicate better, just, you know, just slightly, if they were able to deal with projects and do all of that slightly differently? Like, what difference would that make within the organization if everyone just made one or two subtle changes and they were able to stick with it?
It's like that phrase, right? People say people overestimate what they can achieve in like 1 to 2 months, but underestimate what they can achieve in a year by small changes.
That's it. And that's it. And but the thing is, though, it's by them always having these big changes. Well, what does that actually do to the team, do you think?
It knocks on people's confidence and belief that actually they can achieve these things, because they're like, we keep trying, we keep going big, we keep pushing harder, and it's just like,
So then next time that someone comes up and goes, right, we're going to do this way and all of this, and we're going to have, you know, this great big vision, but it's like the 4th or the 5th time that they've been put in this position. What's that person's subconscious? What's the team subconscious saying to them already?
Straight away, they just be like, this won't work.
Yeah, they're like, oh, here we go. Here we go again, right? Yeah, oh, here we go. Here it is again, you know, same time, same year again. So then the belief has already dropped. And then nothing is going to actually change. And then what you then find is that over the course of time, over a few years, that they won't then even talk about changing the culture. The culture change won't even be a conversation, because it'll just be, oh yeah, we tried that, you know, for a few years and nothing actually changed. So we're just going to deal with the the reactivity anyway of the team, and we can just deal with that instead. That's far much more manageable. It doesn't work for us. It's like, shut up. You're just doing it wrong. Start small. Get small wins, small changes. Small wins increase confidence.
Track the data.
Right?
Track the progress.
That's it. But also speak to everyone about the culture change. Like, do people, you know, is everyone on board with it?
Or do they even understand, are clear as to why there has to be a change in the first place?
Yeah.
So again, it kind of links in with yesterday's talk about communication.
That's it, right?
Communicate, be clear.
Yeah. So it's got to be right? For people to improve upon the culture. I know we could be here talking all day about this, right? But just upon this, right? Nice, short and sharp, right? For people to be able to improve upon it, how can people make improvements on it? Well, yeah, you've got to have that big vision. You've got to know where you want to take everyone. You know where you got to take the ship, right? But what is that first step? What are those first steps? What are those first actionable steps that people can take to then start to achieve that change in culture and actually make the effective change that is actually needed within organizations? Keep it simple, because calm people are then going to be less reactive. And when people are less reactive, then they can actually make changes. Because when people then are under stress and all of that, they want things that they can then, behaviors and that they can then just do, instead of going, oh my God, I feel so much stressful, but this is how we want to be doing things and all of that. It's not going to work. And then they're just going to fall back to old behaviors and habits. So anything to add on that, Kels?
Not from what you've said.
No? Cool. Perfect. Okay. So that in and out, nice, short, sharp. Like that is our episode 4 of the Back in Charge brief, and why culture change is so difficult for organizations to make stick, right? And then we will then see you the next episode. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you've got any questions, please don't just not reach out.